Hi, welcome to the Breathe series with the Dear Jack Foundation. This is Tara with Lov Yoga, and we're in our meditation and mindfulness module. And this is our introduction. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is mindfulness and meditation. So first of all, what does mindfulness mean? And how can we be more mindful? I think the best way to talk about it is to have you experience it for yourself. So first of all, mindfulness is presence. And to take you into a state of presence for just a moment, we're going to use our senses. So close your eyes. I invite you to just soften your gaze for a moment. And I want you to think about, as you soften your gaze, what you start to then hear outside. So your other senses start to become a little heightened when we close the eyes. Drawing attention to the sounds. And then further to perhaps then, what do you smell in this room, in this moment? And then what do you feel in your body? The sensations of how it is touching the mat beneath you or the chair. Maybe your spine is brushing the back of whatever you're sitting on, or you just feel the sensations of the air. And as you begin to blink your eyes back open, you'll fix your gaze on something in the room that you maybe haven't noticed in a while. So trying to find something that you don't always seem to gravitate towards, might be something pretty small. And as you fix your gaze on that, just notice the texture, the size, maybe what meaning it has to you. And so this is mindfulness, taking that time to go through the senses, to notice things beyond what we're doing when we're just moving around and letting thoughts cloud everything. Now, we'll take that a step further. Mindfulness is also your thoughts. So being aware of what you're thinking can help to then change that form of thought if it's not serving you. So oftentimes, the thoughts can lead us down a path and all of a sudden we're on a tangent, and that can be good and it can be helpful, and it can also be harmful when we are feeding ourselves something more negative. So just notice in this moment, what is something that comes to mind that you're thinking? In general, how are you feeling right now? And without judgment. The first step of mindfulness is just being honest with ourselves and really noticing, how do we feel, so that we can continue to feel that way or then shift to our desired state of being. And then in yoga, the way we practice mindfulness is through our breathing, which I recommend trying some of our breathing exercises specifically for that. Or, for example, let's take one yoga pose together. Just take our legs out wide. You start to feel a stretch here. And I'll just cue you through the details of feel your sit bones pressing down. Notice if the left or the right is pressing down a little more. Feel the backs of your legs on the mat, your hamstrings stretching. Feeling your calves stretch, maybe the toes twinkle. Toes face the ceiling, and you can spread the toes, feeling some energy when you do so. And your heels are pressing down. Now feel the sit bones root down, and Inhale, the spine is nice and long. So all of those little things that we were just thinking about, just in our legs, up into the spine and then even up into the shoulders, that's mindfulness. So as you're doing some of the yoga classes, just staying present, feeling everything, and noticing how you feel as you go, that's being mindful. So now meditation, shifting a little. Meditation is basically a way to practice mindfulness because it doesn't always come naturally. We can get so caught up in what we're doing. And we tend to live as we practice. So if we're practicing mindfulness, then we tend to live with more mindfulness in our life. Meditation then becomes this seated posture of drawing inward where we can pause. We bring ourselves into stillness, withdraw the senses. And so then we start to pause and we slow down, and this creates space in the mind. So then when we're living our life later, we've practiced that pause, and we can then pause before reacting, especially in stressful situations when anxiety takes over and we just feel like we need to move through it. Now, I will say this is not easy, and it does take a lot of practice. Meditation for me is what I feel like I have to practice the most. And I definitely feel it the days that I don't take time to sit in the morning. The day just doesn't seem to unfold the same. So I will say also that with that practice, it's totally worth it. It's just a different muscle that needs to be exercised. And we tend to exercise the physical body a lot, but it's hard to exercise the mind. So take you just through a brief meditation. It'll just be a minute or two, so close your eyes. And I want you to imagine, as you're closing your eyes, feeling your body heavy here, but then also that lift in the spine and the lightness. So imagine that meditation is a mirror to what is happening inside your mind. Now, before meditation, that mirror is often foggy or smudgy. And it's really like our consciousness is clouded because those external factors that cause fear and worry, such as being along your cancer journey and going through treatments and doctor's appointments and all these things that create some stress within, they create a clouding of that mirror. And so it becomes difficult to see life clearly. It becomes difficult to even see ourselves clearly when that mirror is clouded. But as you sit in stillness, breathing consciously, allowing the thoughts to move on by. So this is just like letting the clouds move on by in the sky. No judgment to what you're thinking, no judgment even that you're thinking at all. It's okay. You're observing it. It's mindfulness. You can start to come back into soft gaze and open the eyes back up. And notice that how you feel just by taking that little pause. So the more that you practice meditation, it will bring you into greater mindfulness, and you'll feel the feelings more like peace and calm, compassion and love, rather than the fear and the worry or whatever the thoughts are feeding us. So the first time or two you meditate, you'll start to experience altered states. So those are those feelings of peace, compassion, joy, and bliss. And you may notice it stays for a little while and then goes away. But the more you practice, then those altered states turn to altered traits. And that's when you start to really be able to depend on this practice, and it becomes a tool in your back pocket that you can pull out and actually live your life in a way that feels more mindful. Now, I invite you to just try this week. Set a timer for 5 minutes in the morning, just see how it goes, and notice if it helps you throughout your day, and if you practice a little more, if you feel a little bit better through time. So thank you for joining me for this introduction to meditation and mindfulness. The next video in this series is a basic guided meditation, and we also have a few other guided meditations that will take you into another altered state and then further altered traits. Namaste.